Formula One sometimes can be all about the science and the maths behind winning, but this is what winning is really all about. People genuinely elated and over the moon because winning is everything in Formula One. And we've talked about where the teams a little bit further back on the grid are heading into the summer break, Martin. Where does this leave McLaren? 2 wins in 2 races.
They've got the pace, haven't they, in qualifying and in the race. And they've got the strategy. They seem to have fundamentally the reliability to keep Red Bull very much on their toes, thank goodness, in the closing half of the season. And, you know what really strikes me about McLaren this year is when they've had a chance to win a race, they've taken it every time, haven't they? They've really punished Red Bull at every opportunity. They've been not gifted, but given the opportunity to win.
And the wily old fox leading the championship. What happens today? Finishes, doesn't win it, but extends his lead. I mean, by 8 points today, so he's now 85 points ahead of the guy, right? And, you have to say, who's saying he's doing a bad job? Because when he can't win, he brings it home. Gets second place on the podium. Remarkable. He's also a high-class quality.
That was my joke in commentary of he's had a terrible day. He's finished second, and it's because he hasn't won. But some people I noticed on Twitter thought I was saying he really had a bad day. And I'm making the same point as you, Eddie. Vettel, even when it doesn't quite work out, he's still right there. His worst result's 4th, isn't it, of the season? But Mark Webber's been in the top 5 of every Grand Prix and still hasn't won one. Poor old Mark, it just won't fall into place for him.
He took some very brave decisions today. They could have so easily have worked out. I thought the way he came in for the slicks before everyone else, and then when we saw the purples coming up on the screen, this was a really good move for him.
Well, hopefully we can grab a quick word with Jenson after he's hugged and shaken hands with every member of his team, which pretty much sums up the kind of driver that he is. Hopefully he'll head over and join us in just a moment. He's just to our left-hand side. And it's great, actually. He was just told, go and speak to the BBC. The first thing he did was look for another guy. He was keen to speak to someone called Tom. Tom got an extra large cuddle. Let's find out why he gets that, and also a high five. And Jenson will come and speak to us. It's reminiscent of Brazil 2009 with all these cameras in here. What was so special about Tom? You were keen to give Tom a big cuddle and a high five.
Tom's my data engineer, so he's an important man, and he's big, and he's good at giving bear hugs.
Good, and you needed a bear hug, right?
I did. You weren't there to give me one, so I went to Tom instead.
Next time. I imagine you've had plenty of hugs though today after a drive like that. Talk us through your race from inside the cockpit, because it was to and fro, wasn't it?
It was, the first stint was pretty interesting in those wet conditions, and I went to the slicks pretty early and it worked. And Lewis was out on slicks and pretty quick at the start of the stint. I was like, he seems to be pushing really hard. And at the end of the stints, I could really look after the tyres and have good pace, and I was pulling him in about a second a lap. And every time we put tyres on, he'd pull away, I'd catch him up, and it was to and throw. And then he made his little mistake, spun off, and there was a lot of action. So it was a great race. And personally, I wish it stayed dry, but it rained and we still got the job done. So 100%. Oh, well, the pace was there.
How many times did you pass and repass each other? Have you any idea? Were you counting?
Well, he spun off, and I came past him, and I almost passed Paul de Rista as I did that, and I realised I was on the yellow flag, had to hit the brakes. So Lewis could turn around, get back on my bum. And then a couple of laps I pulled away, it started raining, he caught me back up. I made a mistake at turn 2, went wide, got past me, then I got past him, then he got back past me, and it was quite fun, you could say. 2 Brits in the front fighting it out.
The euphoria of Canada will live forever in my mind. Where does this one come?
It's not as big as Canada, personally, because there were such lows in Canada, so to come away with that victory was phenomenal, I think, for all of us here. But this is a good victory. But as I said, in the race, I actually didn't want it to rain because the pace was very good, and I think we made some very good calls.
And talking of making calls, if you would have been in front of Lewis when the final pit stop decisions were made and Lewis came in and he put Inters on and then it wasn't to be and Mark Webber did the same thing and ended up coming back in, would you have come in and put Inters on at that point if you had the choice, if you were the lead McLaren?
When?
Towards the end of the race.
When Lewis came in?
When the rain started again and Lewis came in.
Well, I was told to come in.
But you were behind Lewis at that point?
Initially I was told to come in and queue up behind him.
To put Inters on?
Yeah. I didn't answer back, so I was never going to.
Oh, no. It's been entirely your decision to not
You heard it first here on the BBC.
I'm so surprised with that call.
So that was it, that call, your decision in the cockpit.
Well, initially I didn't say a thing, and then, to be fair to the team, the second to last corner they said, right, Lewis is definitely coming in, stay out, because they didn't want to queue us in case, you know, they wanted to split us, I guess, in case it didn't rain. So.
When you first went out on the yellow mark, the harder tyres, did you realise straight away you were going to go to the end of the race? Or did you think it was the right decision there and then?
Initially, no, because I was surprised we pitted so early, because I know Lewis pitted the lap before, and I felt the car was working really well and the pace was good. I was really surprised they called me in so early. Obviously didn't. I came in, of course, and we put the tyres on. I was like, guys, why did you call me in so early? And they said, well, the reason why we did is to cover the cars behind, the Ferrari of Alonso. You're on primes and Lewis is gone on to options, so make him last. And I was like, wow, okay, we are in good shape.
Because he was sliding around like crazy when you out of turn one on those prime tyre, the harder tyres.
Yeah, I mean, to get temperature was really tricky, and that's why I didn't want it to rain. Because with a harder tyre and the wet conditions, you just can't get any heat in it. So it was pretty tough, but I mean, fair play to Lewis as well. I mean, we had such a good battle, we didn't touch. And, you know, we want to beat each other, but it's good that we have that as well. You know, we have a respect for each other. And I got a lot of respect for these guys as well. They've made such big improvements over the last few races. We've won 3 of the last 5 races, and we're coming strong.
And so this was race 200. Another win for you. You now go into the summer break. Where does this leave you? Where does it leave the championship battle? Where does it leave the sport?
It's going to leave me in bits later.
I bet it is, but I'm sure you'll recover in some lovely part of the world where it's a lot warmer than it is here. Yeah. But where do you think it leaves the championship battle?
For me, it's very tricky. You know, I'm a very positive person, but it's very tricky. You know, the last 2 races to not finish for reliability reasons, it's tough. So this weekend I just got my head down, focused on just weekend as it comes, and the job was pretty good and we got the win. So I'm just going to work in that way every race I go to. I'm not going to look at the points. I'm so far behind, but I think if we can do what we did here with this, you know, with the package we have, we can do very well this year. But points aren't of importance at the moment. It's race results.
Okay, I think we sadly have to let Jenson go. Otherwise, we'd love to stand here and talk to you all the time. But listen, since we've been covering this sport since 2009, brilliant drama from you, and it carries on. So well done. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And for whoever's been pinching my bottom throughout the whole of that interview is in serious trouble when all this is over. You find out which of your team's been pinching my bum that whole time.
That might have been my girlfriend, but I wouldn't say so. Oh, maybe it was Big Rich.
I wouldn't be moaning if it was
Actually,
just. I think it may have been one of these
Big John
reprobates.
Button, maybe.
This is Team Button behind. I got to say a big thank you to these guys. 200 Grand Prix. They've had to put up with me, so thank you very much.
Well done. Well done to Jenson, and of course, well done to Team Button, who are standing behind us there as they get their photos taken. So, Jenson picks up yet another win this season. It means Sebastian Vettel, for another race, doesn't pick up another win, but as we've already heard, extends his lead in the Drivers' Championship, and that's all that matters to him. 85 points now is the gap between him and his nearest rival, Mark Webber. Let's hear from Sebastian Vettel.
Well, Sebastian, you were leading the race at one point. You dropped back a little bit. You finally finished second. How do you feel about that?
Mixed. I mean, generally, I think we can be happy with second place, but not entirely, because I think there was a small chance to win today, and we didn't use it. So here and there, I think we could have been a bit smarter. I lost the car 2 times. I had to run a little bit wide. I took it easy then because, you know, especially on the outside, on the paint. On the painted areas, it's very slippery and very easy to do a mistake and spin the car. So it was more, I think, smart or wise to open the car and say, okay, I might have lost track position in the beginning to Lewis and a little bit of the connection to the cars ahead the second time round. But all in all, I think McLarens were quicker today. I felt the pace was in the car, especially after last week. I think we made it good step forward and I felt much more comfortable, but you know, I started the race to win and not to finish second or third. I think it was a tricky race today, so it could have been anything really, but congratulations to Jenson. He's very quick in these conditions, and I think the last 2 races maybe he was a bit unlucky, so today he deserves the luck he had probably in the race at some stages, but we need to make sure that we cannot accept McLaren to be quicker, and we need to make sure that we get back to where we were maybe at the beginning of the season.
And it's not just McLaren, because you've actually only won one out of the last 5 Grand Prix. I'm sure you don't need me to tell you that. Are you feeling slightly less comfortable going into the summer break than you thought you might have been, because it was a very strong start for you this season?
Well, I think all in all we had good, last 5 races as well, and I think we were very close today. We had some problems, and here and there, as I said, we could have been maybe a bit smarter. It was a tough race, and there were other occasions where I think we were very close to win, finished second. Worst race probably was Nürburgring, so I think so far it was a good season for us.